worldwide.
I just want to say, you guys are doing a great thing. It's such an uncomfortable topic to talk about, especially for a guy, young guys in their early 20s. And, I'm glad that, I could tune in and, listen to you guys.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. Sorry for the late start. 888-659-3727 for all the callers who are holding on all this time. I appreciate.
Thank you so much.
You probably have a lot of things to do, so we're going to get to the phones pretty quickly. I saw Joe's title for the broadcast, and I guess the question is, are hair transplant surgeons corrupt? Is that what you decided to name the show?
Are hair transplant doctors corrupt? Because I think surgeons is maybe a bit too, all doctors involved on some level, we'll say it like that, corrupt. It's a legitimate question too, because and the reason why I titled the show like that today is because I've been reading various platforms how people are saying, oh, these guys are corrupt, or these doctors are corrupt, and I think it's a valid question to explore. Are hair transplant doctors, are hair transplant clinics in general corrupt? Well, I mean, or are the majority of them corrupt, or is it something to expect? Is corruption to be expected?
Well, it depends on what the definition of corruption is. Do the vast majority of physicians in every specialty, but especially cosmetic surgery, do they find themselves faced with having to make concessions once they realize and they understand the reality of this specialty? The question is yes. I don't think a lot of guys, I think there's a small percentage of physicians who get into the field who start out with the idea of, well, let's just say, what's the word that I'm looking for? Well, basically, they become, what's the word that I'm looking for, Joe? They become
that which they are trying to not become at the very beginning. They morph into. They morph into.
Should not have drank last night.
From being a doctor with altruistic,
cynical
goals.
Yeah.
Cynical. Okay, that's one direction to go.
Yeah,
I think that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of cynicism.
Well, I don't think it's
quite on the level of cynicism. I think it's more of an apathetic stance.
They become jaded.
Not even cynicism. A little bit of jadedness. Yeah, I can see that.
There are a handful of full out and out corrupt mother effers in the field, and then I would say on the average, it's kind of it ranges between apathy, cynicism, jadedness. And you know what? I'm tired of these fucking people. I'm trying to help them as best as I can. This is medicine. Nothing's perfect. I'm trying to make a living competing against all these real butchers out there, at least the good guys. And they are starting to make more and more concessions as the industry devolves. That is the reality. Now, I was always of the mind of putting it out there front and center that all of these guys make some level of concessions. What we want to do is provide you with a fighting chance to pick the best who are making the least concessions, who are doing the most consistent work out there in a fucking dirty industry.
Yeah.
And again, I want to say this is important to state. It's not just hair transplant surgery. That is one subspecialty of cosmetic surgery. The entire space, board-certified plastic surgeons, facial plastic and reconstructive surgeons, the entire aesthetic space is fucked up. That's why I didn't want to get into it. When I had the opportunity to get into it in a much broader sense, and I realized, I was shocked. I was like, I thought the hair guys were fucked up. You guys have no clue. You people who are getting Botox and fillers and, jawline filling, like you think it's like it's nothing, like some young guy can go in there and just get his jawline non-surgically reconstructed with filler. You're all fucked. You have no idea what is happening to your bodies, and the fact that this is happening on a regular basis, like it's nothing. And it's not just coming out of med spas. Doctors are doing this. Good doctors with great backgrounds, great educations, real surgical residencies. Yeah. They can't make a living otherwise. They can't pay their big overhead in Beverly Hills unless a certain percentage of their practice is hawking hope and plumping up faces, selling a dream, and potentially causing harm.
That's a good summary of that.
That's the reality. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. Couldn't think of the word cynicism. And that is a testament. Didn't have a drink of alcohol since like February, I think. Went out last night. I mean, I could think, but I'm not quite as sharp as I'd like to be.
You heard it here first, folks. Spencer Kobren, no longer the sharpest tool in the shed.
That's why, and that's why I can't drink on a regular basis. Not even once a week. I'm at an age now where I think it's super important to avoid that poison. And I'm just telling you, I'm not.
And on that note,
yeah,
I am proud to say that this weekend it'll be 4 weeks solid without a drink.
Really,
feeling pretty good about it.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I decided, you know what? I'm going through a wellness awareness phase of my life.
How high my hair is today.
It is pretty high.
Yeah.
High wellness awareness for myself. Getting my blood work done. PSA levels are great. T levels are off the fucking high. Like I didn't expect to be in the 800 range. Pretty happy with that.
That's actually insane for an old person or a person of your advanced years.
Of my advanced years, yes. I had to do a double take on it. I was like, huh? So, but, having some other things done, cutting out the drinking, sugars to a bare minimum, back into that. So,
well, you know what? Maybe we'll we'll make this a sobriety show and get some followers. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is.
It'd really go up when we start drinking on air again.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. Hey, Joe. It's Terry Peterson. I'm calling from Los Angeles area. I spoke to you guys about...
What's up, Terry?
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks. I talked to you guys about 5-6 weeks ago. By the way, congratulations on your sobriety.
Thank you.
It's 32 years for me.
Wow, mazel tov.
Well done. Well done.
I'm not saying...
Cheers.
To me, and this is not about labeling or anything, I think it's great. I'm just like, I don't want to drink on a regular basis anymore because it makes me stupid.
Yeah, that's it. I don't like the way I feel the next day, even if I'm not hungover. It's just you're just not as sharp as you normally would be without having it in your system. That's the way I feel anyway.
But yeah, it's great. So congratulations on your 32 years of sobriety. So what can we do for you?
Yeah.
When we spoke last, I was very close to pulling the trigger on a procedure, and on the 18th of March, and Monday it'll be 30 days now since I did have my transplant surgery, 2,400 grafts.
Okay.
Okay. Can I mention the doctor, because I believe it's one that you on one of your websites.
You can mention him whether or not he's worked with us or not.
Dr. Bainham.
Dr. Who?
Bainham.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Benham. Yeah, Sean
Bainham.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean, exactly. Real nice guy, unbelievably accessible. He gives his patients his phone number and allows them, to text anytime if you have any questions, any concerns. So he's been fantastic. I just wanted to ask you guys, do you think it's normal? Because I haven't spoken with the doctor because he's very, very busy lately. But I just wanted to ask you guys, is it normal to still have some pain in the donor area? For me, it's 26 days now. The pain is mostly noticeable, when I'm washing my hair, when I'm touching my scalp, or when I'm laying down, on a pillow. It's not terribly painful, but it doesn't seem to be resolving as quickly as I thought it would. And looking at it in the mirror, there doesn't appear to be any open skin. It appears to be healed, and yet I'm having this pain, and I'm wondering if you think that's normal for 28 days, 26 days.
I'll let Joe answer that, but yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. So, Terry, are these isolated areas, or is it in a more of a spread out, generalized region of the recipient area?
It's not in the recipient area; it's in the donor area only. And
in the donor. Yeah.
Yeah, and he harvested grafts from the sides and the back, not just the back. And I can feel, the line across the back where the individual follicles were removed. And if I start at one side and go to the other side, the pain just kind of follows this line of where the general area of where the harvesting took place.
Right. And this was an FUE surgery, correct?
Yeah, FUE.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot. A lot of people talk about how FUE is generally pain-free. You don't have to worry about nerves being transected or cut during the procedure like you do with a strip surgery. That's simply not true. A lot of it depends on how deep the incisions are for the extractions, the scoring of the grafts, and that's not dependent on the clinic. It's dependent on your follicles. If the doctor is trying to do a proper extraction of each graft, different people have different hair lengths as far as how deep they grow in the scalp. Traditionally, Asians will have longer hair follicles, sometimes up to 6 centimeters. The average Caucasian is maybe 3.5 to 4 millimeters deep, or long, I should say. So there's that, but then also the depth at which nerves reside in skin tissue is also not universal. It is different from one patient to the next. So that said, when you've had multiples of extraction points where a doctor is using a tool to score a graft, you are likely to nick or to damage some nerve endings as you're going through these areas, and it just takes time to heal. Yeah. Even if you didn't have specific nerves transected per se, it's still sore. And some areas can be more sore than others, and there can be some points that kind of tie in with each other, and they correlate. Where if it's tender here, you press on it, it can actually send signals to other areas where it can also be it can also react as being sore at the same time. It's kind of funky actually how pain works. But to answer your question succinctly, it's not unusual to have tenderness. Areas of increased tenderness more so than other areas, and it should resolve over time. Obviously, talk with Dr. Bainham about it. I'm not a doctor. He knows your case specifically, but I think that's a generalized answer that can cover your question.
And yeah, I mean, that was well said, but you have to understand that there are nerve fibers or nerve endings that actually surround your subcutaneous tissue that surround the hair follicles themselves. So anytime you go in with a punch, you can possibly sever those fibers or endings, like Joe said. It's very common, actually. And some people deal with longer periods of numbness or pain, or sometimes it kind of feels like almost like little shocks, in the scalp. It could be like a neuralgia feeling, like if you know what that is. And that could last for a long time. It really depends on the patient. I've never known anyone who's had FUE done correctly where it's lasted for an extended period of time, meaning more than a year or so, like where it's a lifetime situation. But anytime you're cut, anytime you're punched, anytime that skin is severed in some way, there's a possibility of cutting these nerve fibers or nerve endings, and they take time to reconnect. And if you have thousands of punches moved, there's a possibility it's going to happen.
Of course. I totally get that. I feel no pain at all in the recipient area. And I've only just started noticing a little bit of shedding, which of course is normal. But most of those transplanted grafts are still there, and they're actually growing out. I notice some pretty good growth there in the recipient area, but the recipient area, oddly, is still fairly numb, more numb, while the donor area is less numb. Maybe that's why I'm feeling pain, because there's not as much numbness in the donor area now, but there is still a fair amount of numbness directly in the recipient area. But like I say, I'm just now starting to see some shedding. I have been following the doctor's aftercare stuff, to the absolute letter. I'm treating my head like a mother treats a newborn baby. So I'm trying to do everything right.
Yeah.
Brother, you could be numb in the recipient area for months. That's a reality. I mean, it could be 6 months or longer. Now, it's unusual. It's not unusual. It's atypical, but it happens more often than is really spoken about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
So that's true. I think your case this is an important point to bring up, because a lot of people don't talk about it, they don't realize it, or patients kind of expect it because they did have surgery. So that's not on the top of their mind when they're calling in to talk about their results or their experiences.
Yeah.
So I have all kinds of like neuralgia, like in my back, or like I have some slight nerve damage from things that I've had done to me over the years. I had something removed from my face, and that hurt for a while, and I mean that's just the nature of being cut.
100%.
So I don't think anything. I could see why it could be concerning, but in time, and probably in a short period of time, I think it's all going to resolve. We don't have a crystal ball, but I mean, I've never heard of a case where it hasn't resolved for the long term.
And one last thing, guys. In addition to that, I did purchase a KIER, I believe it's called, KIIERR 272 laser diode laser cap. And I've been using that for a while. I'm using it 3 days a week, 30 minutes at a time, and then also oral minoxidil and finasteride. So I'm thinking these three modalities will help maybe, increase the regrowth, so it won't take as long, and it might help to minimize the shedding. But of course, I'm fully expecting to shed.
How old are you?
68.
How old? 68?
Yeah.
Oh man, listen. First of all, another reason why you may be feeling more pain right now than, say, a 38-year-old. As we get older, we definitely are deal with, especially when we're cut surgically in any way, it takes a slightly longer period of time, depending on the person, of course, for those nerve endings to kind of reconnect. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that you were 68. So yeah, that absolutely is to be expected. And yeah, I think, the fact that you're on the medication, how are you doing as far as any adverse effects? Are you just feeling fine on it?
I've been taking finasteride now for 20 years, originally for, enlarged prostate.
Right.
And I only found out a little bit later that it, helps to block DHT and all of that. Minoxidil just started that concurrent with the transplant. I'm still on low dose, because I have been experiencing a little bit of a periorbital edema under my eye,
right?
A little swelling under the eye, and never had that before. And I Googled it, and they say, yep, that can happen with minoxidil, because it's a vasodilator, opens up the blood vessels, and it can pool under your eyes like that. It's not unusual. It does happen. So I'm probably going to cut back on the dose, or maybe stop it for a week and then reintroduce it at 0.6 or whatever the quarter is of the 2.5, and then the laser helmet, and then of course all the supplements, the biotin and all of that that I've been taking all along anyway. Hopefully all these modalities will help.
Well, biotin's not going to do shit for you, but it is what it is, and a lot of people sell it. They even sell, even good doctors will put it into their preparations and their oral or topical minoxidil and finasteride preps. There's really no evidence that biotin does anything as far as helping people who are dealing with androgenetic alopecia. But it's been something that people have been promoting taking, and Some people swear by it for years. So, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. And you went to a great doctor, a very caring doctor. Everything seems to be on track. And I wouldn't be too concerned about the pain. That will resolve. We don't have a crystal ball, but it should resolve. Let's put it that way.
My only last thing I'll say is that I almost had kind of buyer's remorse, not for the amount, because I got a great deal because they got me in last minute when somebody canceled. But the remorse is thinking, why did I even do this? I mean, come on, I'm 68. What do I expect? I'm going to have some hair loss. It's typical. You know, why did I do this at the age of 68 when I could drop dead next week? But now
here's the thing. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait a year until you're 69 to really enjoy your hair. But what happens if you live till 80?
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
So listen, we're not dead yet, brother. So, you know, I mean, who knows? I may, like, I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm styling my hair the way that I style it and deal with it. But who knows? Maybe I'll be one of those guys that gets a hair transplant at 68.
I look at it like this. The more hair you have when you're gone, you win.
Yeah.
Whoever dies with the most hair in toys.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
There you go.
The toys you give away, but the hair is yours, brother.
You take
Thanks,
with you.
guys.
Take care. Good luck.
All right,
Thanks for the call.
Thanks.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. I like the idea that, 68-year-old guy still has, been able to save some hair, still has hair in his head. Now he's going to have more hair. He's like the perfect candidate for this. And also he's a perfect candidate for a higher volume FUE hair transplant. Because
Thomas,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, because in general, we kind of know where he stands as far as the progression of his hair loss. Yeah, it can get worse. He can have more retrograde as he gets older, but, he's going to be 70 in 2 years.
He's pretty much dialed in at that point, though.
Yeah.
And Tom McIsaac says a doctor in Ireland said he had a 90-year-old come in for a consult. I had a 90-year-old come for a consult and have surgery. He was a retired lawyer from Seattle, and he's the best thing he ever did for himself, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
he's 90 years old, and he's like, best thing I ever did was when I was 90. So I've had several patients up in their 70s and 80s go through with surgery. And the great thing about them, and it was with FUT because FUE wasn't really that great at the time. Donor scars almost invisible because as you get older, your collagen production decreases, which means that your potential scar formation also is reduced in its potential.
But man, they were walking around like they had blackface from the bruising, though.
I'm not going there.
I'm saying you're at that point in your life, you're on like blood thinners. You ever see these guys?
That's right.
Like my barber. Yeah. Every time I see him, I'm like, "Did you fall off a ladder, brother? What's going on?"
Yeah. You shake their hand wrong.
Yeah.
they got signs of torture and abuse. That's good.
Phone number 888-659-3727. My barber had an adverse reaction to one of his 10 boosters. And he was like, I wasn't going to go in for this last one, but since I had all the other ones, I decided to have it. I'm like, I'm not going to put out his name. I'm like, listen, man. You had 9 boosters, or you had whatever it was. You lucked out. You were good.
I think it's just from saturation.
So now he can't. He's in so much pain he can't move his neck. This poor guy.
Yeah.
And so he calls me up every couple of weeks, whatever. He's like, how you doing? Just want to know if you need your haircut. And I'm just like, yeah. I mean, how's your neck? Because he's cutting my hair like this,
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous. I don't want to drop him. I've been using him and the funny story is he still doesn't know my real name. I've been using him since I moved to California 22 years ago or whatever, 23 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was old when I started to work with him.
Did you have to interview your stylist, your barbers when you first got there to find one that
I did
do things the way you wanted?
That's the story. Well, what was interesting about this guy is, and this is kind of funny. When I walked into this guy's shop, he's wearing like this big Wayne Newton looking toupee. Not saying Wayne Newton wears toupee, but it was like that kind of color.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's going to get it, man. He's going to know how to hide that bald spot. So I sat down in his chair, and I'm like showing him the area and like how I kind of grow it long right here and comb it over a little bit in the back. And I have a good mid-anterior scalp. So like you work with that, make that as full as you can, but don't cut these too short because then I'm bald. Yeah. And he got it right the first time. I'm like, you are hired, brother. And that was awesome. It. I've been with him ever since. I mean, his glasses are now becoming Coke bottle glasses, and he can't move his neck.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I'm going to have to find somebody else.
It's like an owl cutting your hair. Just can't move. Moves his whole body.
Dude, he had like a heart attack once. I called the shop, and he's like, yeah, so-and-so, he's in the hospital. I'm like, what? You know? Wow. It's not like we're friends or anything, but I'm sending him flowers. You know, I'm making sure he's okay. I want to make sure he's okay. I'm trying to find the best doctors in L.A. to help the guy out.
Make sure he's in the strongest emotional state possible because you got a haircut coming up in 3 days.
I was like, dude, whatever you need, man. You want a private room? It's on me.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of an anxiety of mine. I actually did, when he was very sick, I went to Common Law's stylist, fancy schmancy, like totally open, all women, some guys in Beverly Hills. And I'm sitting in a chair having to explain this to him, like, no. I don't wash my hair. I already washed it. All right? I don't want you to wash my hair. And I walk into this thing, and they're like, okay, go into the room and change into this. I come out, I'm wearing like this, like, it looks like, it's a smock, but it's like very effeminate. And it was a very funny situation. Now, this guy was very patient. He gave me a really good haircut. I mean, as good as I can get. And he totally understood. And he was saying, look, I deal with a lot of guys who are dealing with hair loss. You have a lot more hair than them. You have a lot to work with. I'm like, no, you do not. This is not, this is not ladies' choice here, brother. You got to follow my fucking directions.
Yeah.
And he did. He took about an hour and a half. I gave him a big tip, and he was really good.
Did a good job. Right on. I'm happy with my my Chinese grandma that knows 3 words: short, medium, or long.
Yeah,
that's it. And then she goes to town.
It's hard to find
freehanding it with electric clippers.
Dude, it's hard to find.
Not using scissors.
Barber.
Just like this.
Especially when you are a sufferer and you have issues, and you're basically like me trying to pull the old Shambui. It's difficult because what they want to do is they want to take the hair that you have and style it in a way that they think is appropriate, even though it will expose your hair loss. Right. But they want to make you look like some teenage kid, some like modern style. Like if I left it up to them, the sides of my head would be shaved.
Yeah,
I'd have like a Hitler Youth, or I'd be walking around with a haircut like Andrew Zarian, which is a great haircut, but I can't pull that off.
No, I don't know. Maybe.
I mean,
could you?
I know I don't have enough hair in the front. I mean, I guess I could wear it all the way down like a full on, Hitler, and have like the side shaved.
Maybe, could be.
You know what? I don't. Yeah, but the sides are so. I'm so happy that I've been able to save my sides to the point that I have. Why would I get rid of them?
That's true. Show them off. Show off those sides.
Anyway, it's one of my strong points for the comb over. All right, guys, listen. There's no phone calls. What's going on? Is Joe's channel on? Hello? Is this thing on? Hello?
Hello, this thing on?
Guys, the phone number is
I think,
888-659-3727.
I think a good thing for people to call in and talk about is today's topic about the question: Are hair transplant doctors corrupt? I'd like to hear what it means to patients to say that a hair transplant doctor is corrupt, or doctors in general are corrupt, or some are corrupt. Like examples or ideas of what you think of, and if you think this, actually, I think that'd be great to hear from. If you think this, I'd like to hear why.
What made you
Is
think?
it because of a personal experience?
What made you think about this? Was it something going on one of these fucked up social networks, or?
Yeah. I've been reading that. It seems to be the general theme that some people are pushing, and it's the same old thing we've seen for 20 years. A few people on different platforms are the arbiters of truth. Having never set foot in a clinic, save for maybe having one or two surgeries,
probably one or two bad surgeries, or one bad one, then one good one.
At least one or two bad surgeries under their belt, so their eyes are supposedly opened, and they're now the arbiters of truth. And anyone that is in the industry as a professional, ergo getting paid, quote unquote, is evil. Doctors are evil. They're all corrupt. They're all working together. That kind of thing. And I was thinking about it. It's like, really? Is it?
I love that. I love that kind of thing. I think it spices things up. I mean, what it also does, it separates the real idiots from those who want a real education. The conspiracy theorists that are really desperate to get their hair back and who are paralyzed by going on these places and listening to these so-called experts, or people who just run these places and they're looked at as, the leaders of these kind of online cults.
Yeah,
it's interesting when you see the cult, the people who were once part of the cult come out of the cult and then come over to the light, and that happens a lot. It's happened a lot in my career over the years. And then they find us, and they're like, you know what? I'm really glad that I didn't listen to these other people, took your advice, and even chose not to have a hair transplant.
Yeah. Which is what we tell people to consider before anything. Just don't have a hair transplant.
Yeah, but there's no doubt. I mean, everyone has an agenda for everything in life. And it's naive for anyone to think that the hair transplant field is not an industry, and that the doctors you get into the field, while many of them want to do their best to help you, and they want to have a good reputation, some of them just don't have the hands. Some of them just don't have the ability to hire the right teams or the know-how to run a practice properly. I've known doctors who were kind of like run over by their fucking technicians, like they're owned by their techs.
Yeah.
There's so many working parts. And are there corrupt people? I don't even know. I mean, it really depends on what you consider to be corrupt. What do I consider to be questionable? I mean, I don't like the idea of any place that has, direct communication or online consultations with physicians. That's not good. Now, is it corrupt? I don't know if it's corrupt, but I think that kind of stuff is questionable. And, I think the more barriers you put between yourself, like what I do and what you do, yourself and patients having surgery, the better. The easier you make it for them, the more dangerous things can be.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I think it's, I think it's interesting, when I think about it, how many times have you read or heard someone say that, this clinic charges, for consultations, and they equate those types of barriers as being corrupt in and of themselves because it's a money grab. I look at that as a clinic trying to put those barriers between surgery and the patient. I mean, that's what I've been advising patients or clinics I work with to do, is to put more barriers in front of patients, because if they make it through all of these these barriers, then they're more likely to be ready to have surgery and appreciate it more, understand it more because they took more time to learn. They were forced to take more time to learn. And
is that a point of contention?
Awareness.
Is that a point of contention on these places?
Absolutely.
These guys are fucking idiots. You're talking about having a consultation with a physician in any other field except for lower-end cosmetic surgery and hair transplant surgery. You pay to have a consultation, to have a medical assessment about whatever situation you're dealing with. If you're going in for a colonoscopy or a possible colonoscopy, you pay to sit down with this doctor to have a conversation about your health and about what's going to be happening to you. Mm-hmm. Whether you decide to go for it or not, you're given the paperwork, you're given the choice of whether or not you should have it, and then you make the decision to get that tube up your ass. And that costs you $250 or your insurance company.
Or your insurance company, yeah. Which that you're still paying into. So
right.
It's funny because I had a discussion with on the phone with a patient I've known for many years, and I'm not giving him a hard time about it, but he was steadfastly against paying for consultations for his repair because he thought that they're not going to tell him anything he doesn't already know, and he said, you ask, and this is when I got upset with him. He goes, if you ask anyone on Reddit, they'll all say that it's crazy. I'm like, you're getting your advice from people on Reddit, or you're comparing the knowledge base and opinion on this from people on Reddit. You've been doing this for how long? I was disappointed in that, and this isn't a slight. I know he's probably watching. This isn't a slight towards you, but it was just disappointing because you're asking someone to give his free time for an hour just so that you're satisfied with, whether you or not you want to use them or not. I don't buy into that. It's a medical consultation.
Dude, I have
if
people,
they ask for you to pay for it, then pay for it.
As you do, but I have people who are willing to pay. The last DM that I got, $1,000 for an hour of my time to tell them whether or not, honestly, if they're a candidate for hair transplant surgery and if they're making a mistake.
Yeah, I've been.
This was last week.
That. Yeah.
He actually put the dollar amount.
Yeah.
And I just wrote him back. I said, dude, come on. $2,500 minimum. Just kidding, people. But, if I wanted to do something like that one day and I wouldn't do it, through a website, maybe it would be through some sort of professional service, it would be the best money these people ever spent. Most of them wouldn't have surgery. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, dude, do not do this, man. You are not a candidate for this. Wait 10 years. Do this, do that. There's not medical advice, but just wait. And then part of them paying for that information will be weighing on their mind if they decide to not listen to it. Like, wait a second, I paid this expert. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, a couple guys in the chat room saying that, pointing out some doctors that they've been to don't charge for consultations. I get it. I understand. But you need to understand is that when doctors aren't charging for consults, it's because they're afraid of losing leads. They're afraid.
Yes, because their competition isn't charging.
Their competition isn't charging, so they're not going to charge. But I tell you this, every clinic that I've advised to start charging for consultations, even though, every guy down the street, one way or the other, are not charging for consultations, they wind up becoming busier in the long run.
I just read the comment. I actually advised Anderson. He talked to me about it, and I said, dude, you're a fucking doctor, man. You know? I mean, to me, I would get nothing done by a doctor. I would not have anything performed by a physician who didn't charge me for his time. That's just the way I operate. It's like, to me, you charge for your time. You spend an hour, 45 minutes with the patient. You give them a full assessment. If someone couldn't give me that amount of time because they're doing a free consultation, I wouldn't do it. Now, I think he probably provides more time. He's just that type of a person. But, I don't think this is TMI because he's very honest. He said, I I think I think it's fine the way that we do it. I just kind of wanted to ask your thoughts, and I think we're going to leave it for free, and that's his choice.
Yeah, it is.
Like Hudson said, I mean, he runs a very professional establishment. Now, you have to understand what you're comparing that to, Hampton. You know, he has a real doctor's office. You know, I mean, this is a real doctor's office. The way a doctor's office is supposed to be set up and run, you know. So yes, he absolutely does it right. But I kind of think the conversations that go on online, it's all, there's a lot of people that read these conversations, and it piques their curiosity to find out more about, say, what we do. And then the smart people, the people that are critical thinkers and can really judge for themselves, they listen to a few broadcasts and are like, shit, these guys they're not selling me anything. They're not trying to push me to have surgery with any doctors that are part of their organizations. I mean, my organization's been around for 23 fucking years. I was just talking about it the other day on my Instagram Live. It is actually ridiculous how many physicians have applied to the IHRS in 23 years. And the fact that I can't get it past, I think the highest I ever got was like 70. And then a couple of people died. I had to remove a few. One or two left for various reasons. One was a major, actually two, but one was a major political reason. I removed Victor Hassan recently because not because of his work, he's one of the best in the industry, but because he somehow thought that I should be advocating for him to be on somebody's top 25 list, and that it was like my duty or something. We've been working together for so long, or if I really care about patients, I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? Why would I advocate you over anybody else in the IHRS? I don't make these decisions. This isn't first of all, it would be political suicide for me to create some sort of a top 25 list of surgeons in the world. I could write an article that would get a lot of play. Mm-hmm. And everyone would basically just shut up anyway. And, you know, who wants to be a part of things? But why would I do that? And secondly, why would I try to twist the arm of somebody else? In his mind, it's because most of the doctors that were chosen for this top 25 list on this blog were IHRS members. So I told him, there's a reason for that, brother. It's because anybody to know understands that you guys are really considered to be, in general, the best in the world as far as a group. And I was just like, why can't you just congratulate your IHRS peers? Be happy with that. It only helps you. If the IHRS is mentioned next to every doctor's name as part of that list, it only helps you when they realize you're part of the IHRS. So anyway, I just told him, I think, look, dude, I love you, brother, but I think it's best we part ways.
Makes sense.
Now, I don't know how I got onto that.
I don't either, but
it's good. Oh, I was talking about how much, how many doctors apply to the organization. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to be corrupt, as these people say. If I just decided to accept half of the members who applied, it would still appear to be selective. Oh, let's say a quarter. So say I had 500 physicians, all paying membership dues, all wanting to be a part of what we do. It would still appear to be selective given the sheer number of surgeons now, even here in the States, that are offering hair transplant surgery. That would be questionable, given anyone who has any knowledge of the field and how few people really do good work here.
But in the grand scheme of things, like on a global scale, if you had 500, it would still be a small fraction or small percentage of what the options are across the greater landscape.
Of course.
And I mean, in Turkey alone, you have 1,000 clinics, more or less, maybe probably more.
More than 1,000 now.
It's not that much of a stretch to see 500 being still considered a select group. And that's sad. It's sad.
It is sad. And part of me, whoever is questioning, if they're questioning what we do or what other people do, part of me is just like, fuck it. That option's open to me. And I'll let all you guys know. I'm like, look, man, I've been working hard for you for 30 years. This is for Spence. Good night.
Good night. Gone fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is out of the realm of possibility to think that there are doctors out there in every field, but in cosmetic surgery in general, who are corruptible. That's a tough one to say they're actually corrupt. They're corruptible. They could be captured. They're willing to sell products and services that they may feel are questionable, but everyone else in the industry is selling them. They are willing to maybe not disclose all of the potential downsides and limitations of hair transplant surgery. I would say that's kind of the level of it. And then there's the really bad guys, the guys that throw away grafts at the end of the day because, their girls are tired. The guys that, come in and try to upsell people, say, well, you know what, we actually were able to get, an extra 1,500 grafts out of that strip or whatever. I mean, that's a lot, but, 300 grafts. What would you like us to charge on your credit card? These people are under anesthesia. That's not as uncommon as you think it would be. I've heard countless stories like that.
Yeah.
All that shit exists.
I look at I look at situations like that. That's a really tough one. When FET was more prevalent, and you would get more grafts than you agreed upon and estimated. A few hundred free here and there. That's a no-brainer. But then it gets to that's the question. 1,500 more in a strip than was agreed upon. And that is a lot, but it has happened. Where do you draw that line of, they need to pay for the extra? Because it is a lot of extra work. Like 1,500 is a procedure on its own. Versus where do you say, okay, we'll throw in this many on the house? And how do you approach that? Like back in on that corruption question. Some patients would say that's corrupt if they're demanding payment for the additional grafts, and I see that argument. I see that. I understand why people would feel that way, but then again, at the same time, it is a business, and the work that's going into preparing that extra 1,500 grafts, that's a lot of overhead. If you have
this is what I would do,
5 to 6 technicians.
If for some reason they had 1,500 extra grafts left over, if it was my practice, given the margins, I would take it on the chin. I would just be like, look, girls, you got more grafts. It's going to be a longer day. I'll buy you guys some extra lunches this week, or I'll pay you a little extra. And I would take that on the chin. So instead of making, a $5,000 bill, I'll make $4,000 for that surgery.
And that's the nice way of doing it, of course, because you want the patient, or I'll say that's a smart way of doing it, because you do want the patient to go away thinking, I can't believe I just got like so much more hair and I didn't have to pay for it.
You let
That's
them
fantastic.
know that, And I'd basically be like, and we're going to videotape this. I'm just kidding.
No, of course, yeah. But that is the smart way to do it. But not every clinic will do that. And I've seen it done where the charge was presented and the patient was actually happy to pay it. But there are those situations where patients like, well, I wasn't bargaining for that. Like I didn't save up. I've been saving for this procedure for 3 years or whatever, and I don't have that much more on my card. It's like, what do you do in that position? Obviously you take it on the chin, but that's not always done.
I spoke
so is that justifiable to label that clinic as corrupt?
I spoke at a conference once of with all these grand poobahs, and I think there were probably it was actually one of the bigger conferences, not FU Europe, but there was probably I would say there was about 400 people in the room. It was probably the biggest hair transplant group that I think I ever saw, who weren't just roaming the halls. They all wanted to see what I had to say. And essentially I brought up the fact that every patient walks in to a hair transplant with a set equation in their head. And that equation begins from the initial contact, whether it's through email or a phone call, all the way until the end of the surgery. And then part of the equation is also the how they're being handled post-op. Mm-hmm. And if every aspect of that equation isn't perfect, the initial phone call, an email isn't answered on time, maybe they didn't feel 100% comfortable with the consultation, or they had a weird vibe with the consultant, and then the doctor only came in for 5 minutes, and then, all these different things. But if everything isn't perfect, unless that surgery is a fucking home run, there's a good chance they're going to be a lot less happy with the procedure, and it's going to make your life, I told these doctors, a lot more miserable.
Yeah.
So if you have a guy who has a mediocre outcome, but he got 1,500 grafts on the fucking arm, they're going to look at their work and say, you know what, maybe it wasn't exactly what I expected, but it's pretty good. But if they had to pay for those 1,500 grafts under anesthesia, they were asked for their credit card, they will be miserable. They'll think they had the worst hair transplant known to man. And that is a true psychological equation that goes into cosmetic surgery that, I remember Paul Rose, of all people, this guy's got no fucking follow through, but Paul Rose, of all people, came up to me after the conference and said, that was a really great talk. I think it's really important. I'm going to tell my front office staff all this and everybody else. And then he actually said something, I don't know if it wasn't at Global Hair Loss Summit because he didn't have the courage to be a part of the Global Hair Loss Summit. But it was somewhere else, and he did make it public, maybe I was interviewing him, that he did implement the advice that I gave during that talk. And he's noticed a change in some of the attitudes of the patients that he thought might be more difficult.
Yeah. Just
by making sure they are completely satisfied with every step of the way. So, there's definitely certain psychology involved. And I think the guys that complain the most online or who feel the most unhappy with the results, if you really look back at their treatment, if you look back at the way the consultant treated them, or you look back at the way the doctor may have responded to their complaints, if they had any, that played a major role.
Yeah.
A major role. And that's a real role. It makes a difference of truly believing you've been botched to thinking, well, you know what? I'm a biological system. This is not a perfect science. I look better than I did before, so I guess I'm okay.
This goes in line with what we're talking about before, with putting barriers in front of the patient before they're able to say, before they're in a position to say, yes, I want to have surgery. Because during that phase of putting in barriers, they're being educated on some level, whether it be by the clinic or their own research. But when you incorporate that into the greater approach to patient care, where you've put all sorts of barriers in front of the patient before surgery, but you've removed all barriers post-surgery, and you're proactive with a follow-up. You're proactive with questioning the patient and how they feel, and letting them know that they can if they don't respond to your proactive questionnaires or phone calls or text messages, that they can reach out to you at any time. That's what creates a patient that accepts the reality of what they've done. Yes. Meaning that if they had these grand goals, these illusions of their goals for surgery at the beginning, they no longer have those illusions by the time they've actually had surgery, and they do wind up being happier patients in the end because they understand the shortcomings. They understand that they understand the reality of what surgery actually means. That's what I tell clinics to do. And the ones that have implemented that, they have noticed that they've had a lower percentage of their patients claiming that they're unhappy or unsatisfied. And I think that's huge. It's huge if you can do that.
But it's not
it just requires work.
Sometimes, when I tell the doctors that, it's not even about trying to handle these guys, because it's interesting because when you speak to the people that work in the office, sometimes I've spoken to people who've called me like, oh, we don't even know how to handle this person, this and that. This is a human being. I remember speaking to this one woman who's like a head administrator, consultant for one of these places. And I'm like, you have to understand these human beings. They came in there based on your promises, and they pinned their hopes, their dreams, the future of their interpersonal relationships, maybe their professional relationships or their professions, on this surgery. They believed that this was they were doing something to make themselves feel better, to do better in life, to be more comfortable in their own skin. I said, I want you to imagine if it were you and you felt that you were let down and that you have to now walk around feeling even less comfortable in your own skin. Not only are you out thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, but you are, in a deep depression. You're living a life that you never thought that you would live. Hair loss is one thing, but now you feel disfigured. I want you to just kind of imagine that before you are concerned about a patient harassing you or having to deal with this. And look at it from that standpoint, and then reach out to this patient as a human being. Let them know, that, we're really sorry that you feel this way. Within your legal parameters, let them know, here's the tricky part. A lot of these people don't want to admit that they fucked up. So during certain conversations or emails, they can't necessarily say certain things that a normal person would say to empathize and to help to, alleviate some of their pain. Mm-hmm. Anyway, long story short, for this particular person, given the circumstances and given the conversation I had with this person, the suggestion was to the doctor that you need to find somebody else to handle these things. And it's probably a good idea that you bring this patient back in. If he wants a refund, make that happen. But at the very least, do your best to see if you can somehow get him to where he can live his life normally and feel comfortable in his own skin. Ended up working out really well for this patient in the end. And this particular doctor got a new administrator for the office.
Wow.
So we have to make believe it's a podcast, especially when you get no calls. So we got to just kind of go back and forth having a conversation here. Guys, call in 888-659-3727. I call it a night. It's 4:25 p.m. on the West Coast. I can go for a early bird special. Now that I have the AARP situation going, I can get all kinds of discounts at this time. It's the best.
That's pretty good, actually.
Go to fucking Chili's, get like half price, entrees, a couple of drinks. And let me tell you something.
Like that.
You go to one of these like lower end or mid end like chain restaurants like TGI Fridays or whatever it is. on a Friday.
How dare you call it low end?
Well, whatever.
How dare you?
Like on a Friday or like El Torito's or some shit. You go to that bar and it's just filled with like secretaries and nurses' aides and and they're drunk and they're having fun and they just want to fucking party, man. And they're not the big purses and all. They're just normal people.
Yeah, they're not pretentious at all. They're just there to have fun, and and whatever that may mean. I miss those days working in those my early youth. I worked in those kinds of places, bartending, Applebee's, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I tell guys, if you want to meet a woman, don't go to fucking one of these fancy hotels and deal with that shit. Go to Applebee's bar. Go to like a BJ's. Sit at the fucking bar. Meet some chick who made some early mistakes in her life.
Looking for redemption.
Yeah.
And when she decides to insist on telling you her story, just listen.
Yeah.
Just listen.
Possible,
that may be fun.
Early neck tattoo, whatever.
Jesus.
Just find somebody with a few regrets who just wants to have a normal life now.
And if she's crying in her drink, that's fine. That's fine. Just suck it up.
Dude, that's
may be worthwhile.
That's why Thanksgiving Eve is like the eve before Thanksgiving used to be the best days to go out in New York when I was a kid.
Yeah.
People
couldn't make their flights.
They couldn't make their flights.
Didn't have anyone to have dinner with.
They were lonely. It was like a smorgasbord. That's what something a sexist would say.
FSK, I want to meet chicks who want to still make mistakes. You're a sick puppy.
All right, guys. Well, it was a nice conversation, Joseph, but we're not getting any phone calls. So we're going to end the program. You got 7 likes to your show.
19.
Oh, 19? Let me refresh the page.
Yeah, you got to refresh the page, man. Let's see. What we got on my end. Yeah, see, I haven't refreshed. It says 0 on my end, but now it shows 20.
No, you can still. There's still in California. There's still plenty. If you kind of stick to that area, you maybe go into the valley. You get like a El Torito's or a Fridays or whatever it is. I mean, politics is not on their mind. Trust me. You know what's on their mind? Paying the bills.
Yeah.
Taking care of their kid.
In a short respite to stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in. Kyle Gallia, interesting name, says he has a question in the chat room. I'll go and answer this for him. What do you think of FUE punch-outs on the hairline to reverse surgery if not interested in a repair? What's the difference? That's a repair. You're repairing the previous work. Best way to remove hair if underlying skin is compromised, electrolysis plus laser resurface. Punch-outs might be enough, but it's a lot of conditions in situations like that can influence which direction to go. But generally speaking, if you have some grafts in a hairline that are unsightly, misangled, multiples, triples, God forbid, punching them out is usually the best way to do it. In general, and then a lot of times that's all you need. But if you have any residual issues, then coming back through with electrolysis can help out. That can also cause scarring on its own. Laser, but yeah, it tends to work better with darker hair. So if you got lighter hair, that's not really going to be a great option for you. It can still work, but you got to go back multiple times. But usually, if you have a few punch outs, depending on how many, that's enough. Assuming that the rest of the hair looks natural on its own. So, very, very general question, and I had to give a very general answer, but I hope that helped.
I really hate the fact that this is, not only is it still happening, but it's happening more than ever now, where people need that type of repair surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, the logical endpoint, there were a strong group of physicians who were able to get to the point where they didn't make these fucking rookie mistakes. And now everybody's making them.
But they still made mistakes, and that's a testament to how difficult and how nuanced this procedure is when the guys that put the time on tissue, that took the investment of time and research and trying out different things to get it right, when they still make mistakes after they've already reached that level, you guys think going to some cut rate clinic is going to get you something that you're going to be happy with? Now, sometimes that does happen because low expectations, lack of education, and we have gone full circle in this industry with patients to where we're getting the same kind of satisfaction rates now that we were in the 1980s with plugs. Full-on plugs in the 1970s, 1980s, because patients are saying it's better than being bald when they have the bad angles, the bad directions, the pluggy grafts that scream hair transplant, to borrow a phrase from the old forum days.
Well,
that's unbelievable to me.
We did have a phone call. It's unbelievable to me too. And here's what I find. I find the whole thing, not the fact that people are getting fucked up comical, but just the conversations, because they're all the same. It doesn't matter what platform it was. It doesn't matter if it was alt.bald spot or hair loss help back in the day. Reddit's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it really is.
In general, all these things are run by, let's just say, unique characters and individuals.
Nicely.
And all the conversations it's the same conversation over and over and over again for 27, 28 years.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't change. There's there's a group of of disgruntled people. Then there's I'm trying to say this nicely. Then there's the group of guys who just, they really don't have much of a place to go. They spend a lot of time on this, and we're all obsessed about our hair loss, but they spend a lot of time online they feel a sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Yeah.
My ex-sister-in-law just contacted me. I do the show every Friday. For how long? How many years? So they find a sense of community, and then there's also a conspiratorial aspect of things, and then there's the aspect of things where they believe that people in the industry are trying to hold back either the cure or more effective treatments, and then there's the aspect of and then you throw in kind of like the information that's provided by other people in the industry that either dislike one person or two people or five people they're in one camp, and they make up stories about them, and then that's regurgitated in these places, and it's a constant toxic environment of it's toxicity and bullshit. It really is. To find truth in these places, it's almost impossible. It's all there are kernels of it. You see it if you actually take the time to read stuff. There's kernels of truth here and there. But as the stories unfold, man, and just the meanness of people, and even the way they treat each other sometimes in these places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's not a place where these are not places where someone who really wants to heal from their hair loss journey and maybe potentially find a solution, even if it's just short term or for 10 years or whatever, and do things effectively. These are not places you want to be. If you want to develop a more toxic attitude and become a less happy person, you found your home in these places.
Well said.
888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Paul from Florida.
Hey, Paul, what's happening?
Hey, Paul.
Good things. Just called to so you guys can wish me good luck. My day is almost here.
What day? What's going on? You getting married?
Norwood 6. Been waiting for a long time, but I fly out on Tuesday to go see Dr. Wong and get her done.
Gong. Where's that gong, dude?
I need to put that on my on my board.
Well, dude, listen. Congratulations. You know, you picked a winner.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember. I'm the guy that your friend in Georgia offered the gun to. I called a couple months ago.
What friend?
Some dude.
What?
Some dude in Georgia that I went to see him in person.
Was it a doctor?
Yeah.
You're the second guy. You're the second guy I know that happened to.
Oh, okay.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
I told you guys about it a few months ago.
Tell us about it again. I'm curious. I forget the story completely.
Well, you know, I'm a repair patient. I got cut really young, way too young. And after saving for 5 years and doing research for 5 years, last year I went around and see all the doctors I was interested in, and one of them was the gentleman in Alpharetta. Weird vibe when I was there, and you know, I could tell after 15 minutes or so, he was kind of over me asking questions. And when I asked, like, well, what happens if I'm not happy with the result or whatever, he was like, I'll give you the gun myself. At the time, I kind of laughed it off, but afterwards, I was like, that kind of wasn't cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating, and it really, to me, it really does speak to the, you know, where that particular person is emotionally and mentally, you know, the space that he lives. And
you know,
yeah, go ahead.
It's whatever. It's yesterday's news. I wanted to share that, you know, I did go to see Dr. Wong afterwards. I chose Dr. Wong to perform my repair. And I just wanted to share that, you know,
what made you choose him over Dr. Cole, besides what you just said?
Sure. So, well, Dr. Cole is only FUE. I would prefer to go FUT because I'm a Norwood 6,
right?
Larger area, and I want to save grafts because I'll probably need multiple surgeries.
Smart.
And Dr. Wong just has a longer track record that I have seen of successful Norwood 6 surgeries.
He does.
Impressive ones.
Yeah.
So I felt that. I felt that this is I increased my probabilities of success.
100%. 100%. You know, I hate the fact that physicians who know better, they really do know better, especially in a situation like yours when you have significant hair loss, you're Norwood 6, you're a repair patient. There's only so many grafts that can be moved. You only have so many, you know, sweet spot grafts that you can utilize, and you want to utilize all of them. You can't do that via FUE. And they know that. Trust me, they know that. And they're still willing to sell you on a procedure that is not in your best interest.
Yeah, and I got some talk back after I told them I wasn't going to proceed with them.
What do you mean?
Just a couple weird emails from his kid. Kind of insulted that I wasn't going to go forth with them. I remember I showed them to Joe a while back. But
yeah. Well, that's unfortunate, and also that just kind of speaks to, you know, maybe business isn't that great. You know.
Yeah, probably.
So,
but you know, that's all fine and good. Like that's
meaningless at this point for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm leaving soon, and I think I've done everything right. Saved, therapy, medicine, and I'm just really excited. And I just kind of want to take a moment and celebrate that I'm really freaking excited to go and start this journey. And I appreciate all the information I've gotten from you guys.
Well, first of all, I want to wish you the best of luck. I think you're in
Thank you.
great hands. And I always joke around with Dr. Wong because the guy's always in my fucking pocket in my business. But he's great. He's great at what he does. And I happen, on a personal level, besides that happy horse shit, I do like him. And he's definitely someone who I would recommend, especially given your situation. So
Yeah.
I think you made a great decision.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. And
I
that
agree.
I found
Good luck with
I
it.
found that clinic because of you guys. So thank you guys. And
Well-
I just wanted to share
well,
that I'm excited, and I'll
After he's
I'll call
removed
back and-
after he's removed your strip and the girl's replacing the grafts, just ask him, say, why do you care so much about how much money Kobren's making? I mean, I'm talking about after he sews you up.
Yeah, after after it's sewn up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay in Vancouver for like 4 days after to get the wash from them. So I'll
Good.
play
Yeah.
this back
Yeah.
if I see him.
Awesome. Awesome, brother. Listen,
funny.
say hello to everybody over there for me, and I wish you the best of luck. Please let us know how it goes. And you know what? You had the wherewithal. You took the time to watch. You didn't fall for the bullshit. You learned how to make it, and be a critical thinker in this space, and that's not easy. So congratulations.
Thanks so much. I'm
All right.
really excited, and I'll let you guys know how it goes.
All right. We're excited
Have
for
a
you.
good flight.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Peace.
888-659-3727. I don't know why it just came to me. It's like, man dies in Vancouver from hair transplant. God forbid. I'm kidding.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
No. I
Oh
mean,
man.
that's my sick 12-year-old mind. It's nice to hear when somebody, takes the time, listens to the broadcast, really thinks, makes it, starts to critically think about what they're doing.
Yeah.
He had a consultation with an excellent doctor who does FUE, and he saw some red flags or maybe felt uncomfortable, and he also thought that he probably is a better candidate for a strip based on what he's been able to learn, and he made the right decision for him. A lot of guys feel a little bullied and pressured in certain situations, especially when someone is considered like, a grand poobah or pioneer who's very aggressive, or who may tell you, yeah, that's not a good idea. You really need to come with us. I would say that's always a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
When physicians talk about other physicians poorly, that's bad.
That's never good.
That's really bad. Also, if someone, now there's a way to pimp yourself out in your practice, in your office, on your marketing materials, and on your website, without standing there in front of a patient saying, I am essentially God's gift to hair transplant surgery for all these reasons. That's also a red flag. Always be aware of that. What I like about Jerry Wong is, at least in person, he's an extremely humble guy. He's very quiet.
Yes.
He's humble. You can tell he's thoughtful when he's giving a response. You ask him a question. I mean, it could be brain fog. He's not a kid, but he looks like he's being thoughtful. I say, Joe.
Sorry, I was reading Hampton Hudson. I think he made a mistake when he was typing. He said, "Should I have gotten FUE? I damn sure didn't want a strip scar." And I asked, "Wait, you got FUT?" And I realized he typed wrong. Should I have gotten FUT?
Why does he keep asking,
want a strip scar.
should I? He had a good procedure. He should be happy. That's what he should be.
You should be happy at this point. You
Yeah.
had a great result. And now we're going to get dragged through the mud for telling Hampton he should be happy. We can't win. We can't win.
Actually, we always win.
Yes, I know.
That's the reality. So drag us through the mud for what? But whatever. You should be happy, Hampton. You found yourself a good doctor who's able to do something good for you.
Yes.
Now, would I have gone to strip?
Nor would 5A.
Would I have gone to strip? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what your situation is, really. I mean, you're young.
You had a lot of hair loss.
You know, you're young. I mean, yes, can you have more hair moved in the long run with strip? Yes. Is it more likely to be hair that would be long lasting? Yes.
How dare you?
But, you know, people who've just converted their practices to only FUE, you know, that's the hammer that they're working with. And there are some doctors out there. I'll tell you who's a really, you know, and this is kind of the way, I mean, he does strips, but he does mostly FUE. Chris Verona in Newport.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very thoughtful surgeon, and he's very honest with, you know, we do remove hair from all over the donor site. I do believe that in most cases he really wants his patients to be on medication. But he's so meticulous at what he does and the way in which he does it that, you know, he moves everything. He does it in an appropriate way. He does, for a guy who does pure FUE, his donor management is unbelievable. And, you know, you can see his stuff online. It's impressive. It really is. And it's interesting. That's a humble fucking guy.
He seems to be. I've talked to him, and he seems to be one of those guys that's grateful for what he's able to do. Grateful for being in the position that he's in to help others. I like that.
I would say he's like a doctor's doctor, and this is not just to, you know, there's something about he's been in the studio. You know, I've had him here. We hung out a little bit. Guy's fucking jacked.
I was going to say, with like huge guns.
Jacked to the gills.
The guys have got guns like crazy.
Yeah. But, you know, there's just certain guys that, and this is what's interesting about Dr. Verona. In the world of hair, you know, with the politicians and the meetings and all the bullshit and the fucking galas and the people with the sashes, he doesn't get any cred. He's not part of that world. You know?
Yeah.
He's just not part of it. If you were to ask somebody who was part of that world, one of the politicians, about Dr. Verona, they may not even know who he is. Yet, as our friend in Atlanta would say, he could actually transplant circles around these guys.
Most likely says that, yes. Finasteride, we got a odd comment here. Finasteride 007, man, I'm just 1 month since I done my first one, and I just could not believe in what I'm getting in. My emotions was crazy up and down. I'm so excited to see will all go okay. I am even in depression. 1 month in, dude, like I've been telling people for years, surgery is the easy part. The waiting is what's hard, what's very difficult because of exactly what you're going through. But I can tell you, if you made the right decision for your surgeon, for your clinic, it'll be worth it. Don't let it get to you, though. Like, to be depressed at this point, it's senseless, because tomorrow it could look different than it does today, based on how your scalp is healing and inflammation and, you know, the way that things are settling down. It can literally look different from day to day for the first couple of months. You'll notice little things. Don't let it get you down, because a month from now it'll look completely different. 2 months from now, completely different still. I tell patients, don't even expect the first signs of life, new growth, until you're between month 3 and month 5. All these cases that you see online where they're getting growth at like 6 weeks, disregard those because they're outliers. That's not normal. Good for them. Like I had early growth at 6 weeks, in some cases, 5 weeks, I think, in one surgery I had. I was an outlier. Okay? Don't get sucked into that where you're upset when you see guys with early growth. Give your result the time it deserves to manifest, and that takes a long time. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a long time. But when you're looking at it, it's like watching grass grow. It takes forever. So don't get yourself in that roller coaster of emotions. Stay as steady as you can because it's going to change all the time. Okay? So don't get too caught up in it. Just let things heal, let things recover, let it do what it's got to do. And you'll get to your results eventually.
That's very sound advice.
Call us if you want to talk about it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Call us if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, 888-659-3727. We only got a few minutes left in the show. I mean, I think this is the slowest call-in show that we've had in... And I get more calls to my fucking IG lives.
That's sad.
What the fuck is going on?
Last week we had some good calls.
We did. Sometimes I'm like, dude, why should we still do the call-in show anyway? Why don't we just do a podcast? Or, you know, I think about doing something with some, I know some like D-list celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe do something like that, like every other idiot. But those are the guys that get a lot of eyeballs, you know? Talking about, you know, having hair loss sufferers calling to talk about their problems. I don't know, man. It worked on the radio, but it just doesn't seem to resonate with a huge audience. It resonates with a small group of guys, which is good. I mean, we get several thousand downloads overall, and we help people. They get to tell their stories. I love to hear them come back and talk about how we were able to help them over the years. I get personal benefit out of that and pleasure out of that. But
Thomas, they are recorded. These are, he says, because they're not recorded. Every one of these shows is right here on YouTube on my channel. All you got to do is just come back and watch. But we'd like for you to call in.
Is this a regular guy in the chat? Like a regular chat person? No.
Thomas McIsaac. No. I think he's new. He's obviously a subscriber because you got to be a subscriber to be able to chat, which we thank you for. Thank you, Thomas. Oh, FSK, because he's talking about the radio because it's not recorded, I guess. Yeah, I think maybe could be right. Maybe he could tell us by calling us to let us know.
Oh, you mean like podcast, like putting it up on? That takes a lot. That takes a little effort.
Yeah.
Like if I started to do a podcast, like a proper podcast, and then maybe I would start that, you know. It'd be like, you know, Spencer Kobren talks to celebrities about being fucked up about hair loss. That'll be the name of it. That long and ridiculous.
Celebs that are fucked up about hair loss. Yeah. On this week's The Bald Truth.
Spencer Kobren speaks to celebrities about their hair loss. Period.
Oh, he says on Instagram they're not recorded. That's why you get more callers. I don't agree with that, but it's okay. Where's the guy last week defending our Atlanta friend? He can call in. That was Andrew. Andrew can call back.
Yeah, listen. There's a couple of calls that I just don't feel like taking anymore. We want people who have questions that need help. We don't need people who are going to who are going to call us, talk about what they think either we should do or should be done or their take on this or that. They have the opportunity to put that out there themselves on their own platforms, on their own shows. This is a place for people who need help and who want to talk about their situation. You know? Last week's call was interesting, to say the least. I had an opportunity to actually see this person. A video was sent to me. So it made a lot more sense after I was able to kind of view his mannerisms and, and the potential, issues. And it's not to get personal. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of people who have very similar issues, especially today. So I can kind of see where and why we just couldn't get through to him.
Well,
I find that to be good practice, though.
He's got doctor worship, which is not uncommon, especially with repair patients. So I don't blame him in the least for the position he took, much less the intensity that he took in presenting his viewpoints. It's just frustrating for to have someone continuously try to overtalk or talk over us, and not seem to grasp the concepts that we're getting across. It's frustrating, but
I do think that I want to
understand
actually
where he's coming from.
Produce a real mockumentary. I love the name of that.
Oh yeah, I love mockumentaries.
That's hilarious to me.
This is Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Fucking mockumentary. That was really, really something. All right, guys, we're winding it down. Thanks a lot for, supporting the fucking show, jerk-offs. I mean, I fucking put this camera on. I got to do my hair. I got to find which blue shirt I'm going to wear.
I got a new microphone arm for you guys. It's not for me. I had to buy some more equipment. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think there's got to be different. I mean, the guys in the chat, all the regulars really appreciate it. All the calls throughout the years really appreciate it. Like I said, I put my camera on Instagram. It's like boom, the phones are lit. Bam, these guys want to talk.
Yeah.
Why
want
is
to move
that?
this over to Instagram
Right now? Not
Yeah.
really, because I want to go eat.
Okay. I don't have it set up on my end. I can't do it. I can't just jump onto Instagram.
Look, it's 4:58. The phone's fucking ringing, which I appreciate. We'll take this call. Hey, you're on the air. Thanks for calling. Who's this?
Hi, this is Kyle from Malta.
This is who?
Who?
Kyle.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Hey, Kyle from Malta. How are you, brother?
Yeah.
How you doing,
Not bad. I found last week as well, and it was me. I put that comment about the reversal. I am thinking about. Obviously, it's still early stages, but.
I remember your call. I remember you were able to get through on the Instagram. On the Instagram.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah, basically, I was this week I was thinking about the worst case, what I'm going to do. I know it can be repaired maybe to soften the hairline. Basically, for the other people watching the show, I got a hair transplant around 9 months ago. And it's looking a little bit pluggy. Some grafts implanted in rows. The skin underneath is bumpy. There's a small bump under each follicle. It's looking harsh, let's put it that way. And even the hairline design, I'm not really fond of. And I'm concerned as well about the amount of grafts taken. Just for the hairline, there's an inch or maybe two for the corners. And she said it was around 2,800 for the hairline. And anyway, it's kind of a little bit of a saga because after putting a post in a forum, then he said it was 2,200 actually, not 2,800. So I'm not really trusting the guy anymore.
So you said someone on a forum told you there was 2,400 instead of 2,800?
So after the surgery, he said we use 2,800 for the hairline and 400 for the crown.
Okay.
And after I put a post in a forum so that I get like some suggestions, he was concerned about this post, obviously. I didn't even name him, but somehow the moderator, I think, got in contact with him. Because as soon as I said Malta, I think
sure.
he assumed who the doctor was.
I probably know the form. That's the oldest trick in the book. So they get in touch with the doctor, and they're like, "Hey, someone's talking about you on the forum," and then the conversation starts like, "How about you apply to sponsor our forum, and we'll put your work out there." Next thing you know, this guy's going to be an accepted doctor on a sponsor on this forum.
This is on a forum or on Reddit?
On a forum. On a forum.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
That's the oldest trick. That's the oldest forum trick in the book, brother. That's how they make their fucking money.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I completely didn't. I wasn't aware. And I found a surgeon on that forum as well. And I wasn't the correct path on choosing an actual ISRHRS surgeon. And as soon as this surgeon popped up, then he's from my country, I thought, okay, so this should be legit, And I saw some posts, there were 4 posts with some results, and they weren't even final results. But a little bit blurry, not complete pictures. I didn't know the donor pattern, donor extraction pattern.
Like I told you last week, given the fact that, okay, so you didn't mention the fact that you have cobblestoning last week, but I remember you call.
Yeah, forgot about it. Yes, forgot about it actually.
Yeah, that is a little unusual in this stage. At this point in hair transplant history,
it's not. Let me make it a little bit. It's not really obvious to the naked eye, but as soon as you tilt a little bit your head with direct light, they're completely obvious.
Right.
It's not really obvious with hair, but if I try to shave it off, for example, they're visible, and I can feel them as well. If I put my finger, I can feel that the skin is not flat anymore there.
Yeah, but that type of compression defect, well, I'm glad that it's not visible to the naked eye, meaning, probably socially, so that's positive. But it shouldn't be happening in this day and age. And that is really a sign that, the team or the physician, whoever made that happen, really didn't have the skill set that they should have had to be performing this type of surgery. With all of that said, I think I remember telling you that you're probably in a better position than you think, given that you don't notice anybody staring at your hairline. That's huge. The fact that no one's even looking up at your hairline, that means that the world can't see it, because it doesn't even have to be that bad for people to notice something different. Our eyes automatically go to whatever looks unnatural on a person, whether it's plastic surgery. That's kind of the way we're built as humans. So the fact that's not happening to you, that's very positive.
Yeah.
Apart from this, my actual biggest worry, obviously, the result is the result, but my actual biggest worry now, the rest of my native hair, is very, very thin. I take finasteride, but it's thinning. I don't think I actually I don't think it's slowing down, actually. I'm really anxious about it. And I'm not sure if it would make sense to double down on a repair. So, because that's my worry now, to make it actually look better or see how it goes, and wait for it.
Well, didn't you tell me that you have an appointment to see Dr. Basanga?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. I will tell you that you're making the right decision to see him, to get an honest assessment from him. Now, here's the thing about Dr. Basanga. I love the guy, but he's very brutally honest also and he will be brutally honest about your current results. Yeah. He's very nice. He's kind, but he's brutally honest.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Even if I don't want to hear it, I want to hear it. So I want to hear the truth.
This guy has repaired the unrepairable. Let's put it that way. I'm talking about these aren't recent repairs. I'm talking about from 15 years ago. He's been, he just has a unique eye, a unique pair of hands. He's got it all going on as far as just his ability to put the pieces of the puzzle together when it comes to repair surgery. Not everybody has that talent. He's one of the doctors that do.
Yeah. Okay, at least.
Yeah. So
I'll try to calm down a little bit. It's not easy, but...
So I just want I want that to ease your mind as well. And he can talk to you about your experience on finasteride. It's possible that he will suggest that you potentially up your medication or try another medication.
I read he likes oral minoxidil from what I was reading.
He does.
Describing that.
He does. He suggests that a lot from what I can see. I know that, he was very impressed with Dr. Sergio Vania's talk at Global Hair Loss Summit, and then his paper that was published, and he speaks about that a lot. And he jumped on that bandwagon, and in his practice, he seems to be getting very good results. But again, I want to make it clear, he's a pretty conservative guy. He's, I should say, appropriate with his choices for patients. So I think that I'm glad that you found him. That's all I'm saying. And that you're close enough to be able to travel and see him.
Cool.
All right, brother?
We'll see. I'll try to chill out.
Well, listen, keep watching. Let us know what happens. When's your appointment?
It's in September, so quite...
Okay.
There's still some time.
Okay.
Because they require, obviously, and that's what I wanted as well. They require the surgery to be like 12 months before, and that's what I wanted as well. So 12 months pass, then I go to an in-person consultation after 12 months.
Okay.
That's like a requirement, and yes, I agree with it, actually. I would have, obviously, I don't even probably have the final result yet. Maybe at some stage, the skin maybe settles down a little bit more, hopefully. Who knows?
It's possible. Sometimes those compression defects or like a slight cobblestoning will settle a little bit over time. And you'll notice less shine, because when you have these defects, the light hits them in certain ways when you're looking under light in certain ways, and that's why they're noticeable.
In the bathroom, it's a nightmare in the bathroom. I hate looking in the mirror sometimes.
Yeah.
When under direct light,
Yeah. Well, listen. Your job now for yourself and for your mental well-being and to live the rest of these months in a productive manner is to somehow get into your head that, okay, this didn't work out, but there's hope, and I'm going to probably come out the other end fine. And, use this time instead of obsessing. I know this is hard because I have OCD, so trust me, I know. But instead of obsessing about this, maybe try to focus on something that's more positive in your life, whether it's work or working out or something else that you're trying, to accomplish in life. Use these next few months to crush it, because that appointment's going to come, and before you know it, you're going to be in a better position.
That's well said. Yep.
All right, brother?
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
All right. Good luck.
Thanks for what you're doing there.
Good luck, Kyle.
Good luck, Kyle. Take
Thanks.
care.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
day. Bye.
Let's see.
Before we got into the call?
We do, but I'm just not sure if I want to take this or not. I'm not sure of the area code.
Well, before we do, I'd like to ask people that are watching that have been hanging out with us, really appreciate it. Show your support for the broadcast by hitting the like button. Let's trigger the algorithm so we can get more views after we go off air. Last week's episode, we got more views than normal thanks to all the likes that we had. So please hit the like button again. Keep that momentum going. Appreciate
I think
that.
I'm going to have to do OnlyFans. And I'm not talking about, showing the junk or anything. But do something kind of interesting on OnlyFans, hair related. I could wear a wife beater. That may, losing a little weight.
You got to get the gold chain, okay? It doesn't even have to be gold. It can be white gold or more commonly found with wife beaters, steel, or some sort of white metal. And I'm thinking a cigarette. Lit or unlit doesn't really matter as long as it's dangling out of your lips.
Dude, I miss smoking cigarettes. I think about that sometimes. I'm just like
cigars.
And it's funny. I was never like a pack a day type of a smoker, and I could never really smoke during the day when I was young. Like I wasn't that type of a smoker. But there's that, and we'll take a call in a second, caller. There's that picture of Ben Affleck that is all over the internet where he's outside of his house. He has this look of misery, and he's smoking that cigarette.
So many memes.
Yeah. Now, but I understand that need sometimes. Without even having that misery. I mean, he looked miserable. But without even having that misery look, just like that standing outside and having a cigarette type of thing. But, I'm a man. I'm a grown man. You can't be smoking cigarettes. It's not good for you. Doesn't mean I can't think about it once in a while. All right, let's take one last call. And if it's a nutty long call, I can't deal with it. Let's see it.
Let's do it.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? And where are you calling from?
Hey guys, it's Al from Houston.
Al from Houston. What's happening?
Hello, Al.
How are you? It's been a while since I've called. I've called the show a couple times over the years. It's been a while since I've called.
Well, thank you for calling. What's going on?
Yeah. Good to have you back.
I wanted to. Yeah, thanks, guys. I listen every time. I wanted to sort of get your take on what looks like kind of the end. Like we're kind of in the twilight of FUT. It's just you don't really see very, very many people getting FUT anymore. And at the same time, I feel like we're seeing an epidemic of people overharvested at FUE. Like people seem to have traded their fear of the strip scar for
Stupidity.
The reality of being badly overharvested.
Yes, 100%.
Yep. Well said.
And it wasn't just people. It was the fact that medicine was able to be dictated by consumer demand, and it's actually unbelievable to me. And I've talked to these doctors for years about it. I'm like, you really need to offer FUT. Hey,
Al, are you on speakerphone with your window down?
No, but I'm just outdoors. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All
Is
right.
that better?
Much better.
That's better. I'll walk it.
Much better.
Much better.
Yeah.
So that's really the way.
I myself had FUT to very, very good outcome, and like my scar it's pencil line thin, and no one has ever been able to see it. But I look at the boards and I see all these guys. They show these pictures from the top and they're so proud, but then nobody shows pictures from the back. But when you see these guys out in the real world, it's so conspicuous.
Of course.
Yeah. What's interesting is FUE versus FUT, that was a battle raging on in forums and stuff like that for years. I think about the timing of my repair, and I recognize that had FUE been more prevalent, like there were maybe 2 doctors, maybe 3 that had actually decided to perform. Actually, no, I take that back. There's one doctor performing FUE on a regular basis. It was Dr. Ray Woods, when he called it the Woods technique. Had it been just 3 years later, my first repair surgery with Dr. Wong, if it had been 2005 instead of 2002, I would have had an FUE, and I would have been FUT would have taken an early nosedive because my presence online would have been to focus on the eradication of FUT, because at the time my repair I had two wide donor scars, and if I hadn't had the repair that I had, I would have been a staunch critic of FUT, But what I did is I learned the difference between good FUT and bad FUT, which is a night and day difference. And
yeah, and I'm not saying FUT is for everybody, but I feel like people are only getting one option now.
Well, that's exactly it. And what's funny, when you say that reminds me of how some people online, excuse me, would criticize doctors that were only offering FUT. Actually, some doctors would publicly criticize other doctors. One of which we're very familiar with. He would criticize other doctors for not offering FUE and would say that it was unethical of doctors not to offer FUT for their patients. No, quote unquote, knowing it was a better procedure.
Not to offer FUE. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that not what I said, or did I say not offer FUT?
Yeah.
Anyway, not offering FUE.
No, it makes sense.
That would and what we have now is the exact opposite, because you have patients that would benefit greatly from a nice strip being taken, and they wouldn't have this issue with an overharvested donor in one surgery. You never saw strip results from a very first surgery that would obliterate any chance of more surgery in the future. You do with FUE. But now we have the actual opposite of what some of these doctors and patients were saying was unethical, where doctors were not offering FUE. Now doctors are not offering FUT. Is it unethical?
Right.
I don't think it is.
It's a whole other skill, and it's. I mean, I'm not a hair transplant surgeon, but I'm sure
that's why
to do that closure tough. It's very, very hard to do that closure in a way that's clean.
100%. It's much more, I think, much more of a surgical skill set than you have with FUE. FUE is very nuanced. It's very delicate. You do have to understand a lot about how hair grows and what you might find underneath the tissue. And that's only something you can gain through experience, because it is a blind harvesting technique. Still to this day, FUE is blind harvesting because you can't see the angle direction of the graft underneath. But yeah, strip surgery is a true surgery where you are excising a large piece of tissue, and the goal is to close it up, have that pencil thin scar, which in reality isn't really that common to have the quote unquote pencil thin line, but a very acceptable donor scar that
people are happy with 2 millimeters.
Yeah, still has, still gives the patient an option for short haircuts. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a fade, but I cut my hair in the back really short, and you can't see a thing.
Look, one of the best celebrity hair transplants in the game is Elon Musk.
I knew you were going to say him.
Yeah.
And you can see Elon's scar in certain photos, but it's damn good work.
Yeah, well, he actually doesn't give a shit, and he'll basically shave his head really close and have one of these like youthful haircuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I just wanted to touch base on that. I feel like I see all these guys on the forums that I just feel like maybe would have been better served by another, especially advanced Norwoods.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, you are.
Like saying that online gives you get a lot of pushback.
Yeah, because people are dumb.
Yep.
I'm just going to be honest.
For 15 years.
People are dumb. I was called, for years, I was, at least online, there was a small group of very vocal people who would say that my organization supported strip butchers. Now, you have to understand this was a time when, most physicians weren't incorporating FUE into their practices. What these guys didn't understand is, I regret this to this day, I pushed these guys into doing FUE, into looking at this seriously. And this one doctor in particular who I really pushed initially decide to take a chokehold on it. You went outside again, brother. It's crazy. That's crazy noise coming through your headset.
Sorry.
Yeah. Took a chokehold, and he's the guy that's been basically saying it was unethical to do strip once he realized and learned how to do FUE. And in my view, it had nothing to do with ethics. In my view, it had 100% to do with marketing. So you can't worry about what people say. Sadly, there's a large percentage of people, the most vocal people, who don't necessarily understand the reality of the surgery and what the long-term ramifications are going to be. Forget about the short term of having 100% FUE starting at a young age when you possibly need a lot of hair to be moved. In my view, that is a mistake. Unless you can accept the fact that you're going to be limited in your lifetime as far as donor, more limited than you would if you have a hybrid.
Right. Well, and on Rassman's balding blog, and Rassman wasn't my surgeon, but on his blog, he often makes the point, you got to plan for the next, 30, 40 years, and people aren't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not.
That's true.
Anyway, I know it's the end of the show. I just wanted to catch you guys and just sort of bring that up. But
well, no, I appreciate the fact that you called, and I think it's an important point. And I do think I'm starting to sense the pendulum, at least in the minds of the more educated patients, are starting to swing back. My last Instagram Live, 2 guys called, both decided to have strip, and they were in their 20s.
Interesting.
So I thought that was interesting, and I thought that really did kind of help to encapsulate at least there's a group of people who really want to get educated and understand the reality and learn the entire scope and all the pitfalls of this surgery. Yeah. Nothing's perfect, but why limit yourself? Or if you are going to limit yourself, at least know, all right, I don't want a strip scar. I'm going to be scarred in some way. And if I don't want to see those scars at all, I have a very limited amount of hair that can be removed.
Right. You got to pick your poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, guys, I'll let you go. Thanks again. I appreciate all you do.
Okay. All right, brother. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right.
Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
I really got to go, but there's someone holding on the line. I'll take a 5-minute call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Kenny from New York.
Hey, Kenny, what's happening?
What's up, Kenny?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Just want to say I appreciate what you guys do. I listened to the call last week on YouTube. You guys got a lot of patience. I'll just say that.
I appreciate it. I mean, at one point I finally had to say, "Shut the fuck up" to this guy, which is unusual for me. But I was just like, Jesus Christ, just listen, brother.
Yeah, no, I was listening, and you appreciate, because if you listen to Dave Ramsey or any other network, they would have hung up the phone. So I give you guys credit for even just day, just we
don't have the luxury. I mean, we do, but I've always kind of felt that we don't have the luxury, especially when it comes to this particular situation of hanging up the phone on these guys, because this particular doctor would make claims that we were, when his son called, that we were potting his son down, not letting him speak, and he knows what we do, and we don't let people tell you. Meanwhile, you could hear the phone in the background the whole time, and we allow people to try to talk over us, which no one would let that happen. They would pot that down. But I kind of I let it go. It doesn't happen often, and when it does, it's actually kind of good practice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just started listening to tonight's show about corrupt doctors and everything. I think it's definitely something that needs to be talked about, because there definitely are a lot of unethical doctors out there. Scary.
Well,
how do you look at that though? What do you quantify as being unethical? What have you heard about? What have you seen for yourself? That's what I was looking for, is people to call in and tell stories of what they think that entails.
Yeah, well, I also so for example, the insurance in the U.S., for example, sometimes the doctor can come in and see you, and you just think they're just asking you how you're feeling. Like, I've had that happen before where I was in a hospital. You have multiple doctors that come in to see you, and then when you leave, you find out that they charge you or they're out of network, and it's like, why'd you even bother coming in? You didn't do anything, but yet you still charged my insurance.
To me, that is a major
Yeah.
scam. That for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of make it clear in situations like that. Like, look, dude, whoever I'm going to see, I need to see the main guy. I don't want you charging me for anything. I'm going to tell you something interesting. I mean, all these places are really fucked up. I go to this private place. I have to pay a lot of money every year. I decided to join during COVID. And they had sent some blood work out to Cedars-Sinai Hospital. And for some reason, which unbeknownst to me, I was never billed. I never received the bill from Cedars-Sinai, so there was maybe some sort of an address slip up because it came from a third party. All of a sudden, I see a ding on my credit. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? So I had to trace it all back. I didn't even know who the doctor was who looked at the blood work. It was some guy in Cedars-Sinai. Trace it all back, which was not easy. Find this guy. Tell them the situation. Take that shit off my credit, which they did. And, I mean, it was a big ding. Now, I'm very fortunate that, I'm in a position in life where I really tended to my credit over the years. So even with that major, which was major at the time, to most people, it would put them in another credit area or whatever. They wouldn't be able to get the loans they wanted. Didn't affect me in that respect, but it was just a fucking point. I couldn't believe it. But there was an extra charge besides the labs of a doctor checking the labs, not within the place that I'm already paying like $8,000 a year to belong to. So it's all a fucking scam, man. It really is. We really are living. It's so, for the average person who doesn't have the wherewithal to make the phone calls or to trace your shit back or to deal with their insurance companies or understand what's going on and advocate for themselves. I mean, that's why our health system is in such a fucking mess. So yes, that's a great point.
Yeah, especially with like health insurance, they tend to outsource their help. So like the people, like their call centers or customer service. So a lot of times, at least when I've had to call my health insurance, you're talking to somebody who's not even living in the country, and to me it seems like they don't even know the policies of their own plan. It's like you can tell they're just kind of reading it off of a manual, and it's just absolute headache.
Oh, dude, and I find it even worse when we talk about this in brief that these people who are relatively indigent and they're trying to get them on health insurance and just the type of insurance that they would deal with. It's just anytime there's a bureaucracy, anytime that you are dealing with companies like this that are allowed legally to fly under the radar and to do these things. I mean, every doctor takes advantage of it because that's how they make their living. Mm-hmm. So, I definitely think they are, let's just say that they are compliant, if that's the right word, with that type of corruption.
That mindset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Complicit.
No.
Complicit. Thank you. Jesus Christ. 3 drinks. And I'm a different person.
They are complicit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
But as far as the hair transplant industry is concerned, as far as the so-called corruption in the hair transplant industry, it's a different type. There are bad people, really bad people in this field, and then there are those who just, they need to compete, and because of the way the industry has devolved, they have to start, adding certain things to their repertoire that they may not necessarily believe in, or they may think, well, I saw this one guy at this conference and he said it was good, and or a company sells them a $150,000 device, and they have an extra stream of income where they don't have to perform surgery. And charge like $1,400 or something for like an ultrasonic, hair miracle growth system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what do you feel like with other countries like that have a more affordable healthcare system? Do you think
it's even worse?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's even worse for these people. I mean, you go to a place like I don't even know how Joe lives in Canada, but I mean, in general, if you're not paying out of pocket, I mean, I've heard of people had to wait 6 months for they had like a lump just to get like a mammogram.
Yeah, friend of mine had to wait 10 months for colostomy.
Colonoscopy.
Really?
Oscopy, 10 months. 10 months. And then it was found out to be positive, and then he had to go through his thing.
So he had colon cancer.
But, it was still early enough to where he was okay. He's fine, made a full recovery. But 10 months? That's ridiculous.
It's very possible
that is ridiculous.
If they found it very possible, it could have just been like a big polyp 10 months prior, not even cancerous yet.
Yeah.
So it's pretty scary. Yeah. Here's what I like about the American system. First of all, you got to make money. You got to make money in this world. I tell everybody, forget about the fucking Ferraris, and you start to make money. You don't need to buy that nice car or live in the bigger apartment, or that's what It's interesting when people ask me, or when people tell me. Sometimes I talk to younger people. I remember this guy tells me he wants to be a millionaire by the age of 30. I'm like, great, that's very possible. I said, but let me ask you a question: do you want to be a millionaire, or do you want to be able to spend $1 million? And he's like, well, what's the difference? I'm like, spending $1 million, you're no longer a millionaire. So to me, earning money is for things like this. Being able to have freedom for your health care, being able to go out of pocket if you need something done that's emergent. Being able to get, there are certain things in my health care, and I've been very fortunate, knock on wood, that I've had to have done that my insurance would not pay for, and I have great insurance. They would pay for a surgical procedure, but they wouldn't pay for a non-invasive kind of cutting-edge procedure.
Yeah.
That I ended up having to pay out of pocket. No problem. I did it. So, at least in the United States and some other countries, you have a pretty good option if you have a little money in your pocket to save your fucking life. Or take care of things that are needed to take care of, because it's kind of an open market right now. So at the very least, I appreciate that. And then like for the big things, you could have like a PPO/HMO, whatever it is, and if you need to be hooked up to a ventilator for 10 years, that'll be paid for. That kind of shit's paid for.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah, because I think people, they definitely underestimate money to some degree. I don't know. Everything's just so expensive, right? And people spend it on frivolous things.
They do spend it on frivolous things.
And it's getting worse. The culture we live in now, with social media, people flashing what they've bought, and you need to buy this, buy that. Advertising is so much more prevalent, always surrounding us, always in front of our eyes as we're scrolling. People are not thinking about, like what Spencer said. I thought that was articulated really well, where the idea of making money so you can afford your health care, to do things the way that you want to do, the way that you feel it's best for you and your family. That's powerful.
So it's a powerful
position to be in. It's a powerful way to look at it.
I know guys, and they're young, or whether they're my age or some younger guys, I know a guy, not the billionaire, but another guy parks next to me on the other side, and he's got like a Lamborghini, which is what, $250,000 on the low end, and an older Porsche. You'd like this car, Joe. I'll send you a picture of it. Maybe I did. An older Porsche 911 Turbo. I mean, cherry, pristine condition. But when I see this kid getting the Lamborghini, and chicks are looking at him, whatever it is, I'm just thinking, that guy has $250,000 less in the fucking bank to make more money, so that he won't have to fucking worry about shit when he's my age. That's how I look at it. When I see doctors, even especially in this industry, and they're flashing their watches, and they're flashing they're driving Bentleys and shit like that. I'm like, Jesus, you're going to be working for the rest of your life, motherfucker. That's ridiculous. No wonder you're so stressed when you're not booked out for a month.
Getting married to women half your age.
I know. Look, to me, there's nothing wrong with that. Just as long as they don't speak English. What?
Exactly.
But anyway, that's Jesus Christ. But so we're talking about healthcare, but people don't think about that. People are like, I'm just going to get health insurance, everything's fine. No, you're not. Your health insurance is going to pay for certain things. If you need some unique laser therapy for your eye that your insurance company won't pay for, but they'll pay to have your eye fucking removed. That's not good. That's not the route that you want to have to take. You don't want to be in a position where like I always wanted to be in a position like if I needed to fucking, buy a fucking heart for myself legally, if that was possible, I can do it. That's it. Yeah. I drive around in now that I've been separated for so long, and I'm not living out in, I just decided I only need certain things to live. I kind of know what my lifestyle is. I drive around in a 20-year-old Lincoln Navigator. Looks brand new, like it was hermetically sealed. But I'm that guy.
That's the difference, though. If it looked like a 20-year-old Navigator, would you still drive it?
Well, no, but I wouldn't have a car. I take care of my shit. Like that's just not part of my, my thing. But so to me, having the ability to take care of your health care is, and that goes for like any cosmetic surgery. If I wanted to get a hair transplant, I wouldn't have to go, forget about the industry I am. Say it's another type of cosmetic surgery. I'm not going to have to go find a deal to get cosmetic surgery if I wanted to get cosmetic surgery. Right. I would find the best doctor I can, and that's what the money's for. Anyway, I'm going on a rant. It's almost 6 o'clock. I got to go, but you make a lot of good points, brother, and I'm glad that you called in.
Thank you again, guys, for taking my call. Thank you.
No, you're the best, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you for calling. We needed the calls today because it was a slow fucking show because these idiots don't want to call in.
People are too nervous, I guess. I don't know.
I think there's a sense of apathy. The online world has changed a lot. People want to type. It is interesting, though, that when I go on Instagram, phones are lit. Maybe it's the uniqueness of taking a call in on Instagram.
That is pretty unique.
No one does it.
But this is too. Like no one else is doing a call and talk show on YouTube. So that's not the right argument. It's not the uniqueness. I don't know.
All right, I'm not trying to make an argument. I'm trying to make an excuse.
Because people don't talk about it. That's why. Anyway, Kenny, thank you for calling, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Great subject matter.
All right, brother.
Great point of view. Appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. Thank you.
Right.
Have a good night.
Take care. Good night. All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to call it a night. I got to get out of here. Thank you so much for nothing. No, thank you
not
for
me this time.
Yeah, thank you. I stayed the extra half an hour because of not just because of you. Thank you guys for tuning in. at the very least, like the show. Let's grow Joe's page. Let's fucking grow it.
Let's do it.
You know?
Let's do it, kids.
He puts a lot of work into this.
I actually did today. I put a lot of work in the promotion. I set up my new boom arm before the show. That's part of the reason why we were late. Because
I got a brand new camera about a month ago.
Yeah. We're spending money on this, folks.
I'm like, I think
so you don't have to.
I think my sensor's dying. It's not as clear as it should be. So I got to, and it's also pretty like a 8-year-old camera. Like, I'm going to get a brand new camera. Now it's sharp as shit. Does anybody care? Not really. Anybody compliment it?
Sharp as shit.
Someone's like, hey, you know what? You did. You know what? We could see your pores and the fact that you're not wearing makeup. Like all these other, I had people like, I had one guy said I was wearing lipstick. What is wrong with people?
I don't know. That one's bizarre.
Lipstick.
That one's bizarre.
My lips are pink like
when it's
a normal.
Me. I'm the one wearing the lipstick. You guys don't even notice that.
It's because your beard. Normal lips. It's not lipstick. All right, guys. Until next time, be strong. God bless. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good weekend and all that happy horse shit. Take it easy.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.